Hey, Blue Rockers, Connie Willis here. Welcome to Blue Rock Talk and Bigfoot Friday. Hey, everybody, thanks for joining us. I really appreciate that. Those of you that are new here because you're a Steamian or you're into cryptocurrencies, well, thank you for becoming a Blue Rocker and hitting the notification bell so that you would know that this is happening. I hope that you, the other folks that are here, will subscribe if you haven't already. And welcome to being a Blue Rocker. A Blue Rocker is someone in the know. This is our little signal. Someone in the know, a backward spot kind of thing is going on. And we, it's Earth's most interesting conversations, people, places, and things. It's, we talk about, well, tonight, Bigfoot Friday, and we also can talk about crypto. We can talk about cannabis. We can talk about health. We can talk about anything and everything. Or maybe I just might go hiking and take my little penny girl with me, and we have a good day like that or something like that. Or maybe I cook and become Chef Connie. So tonight, though, it's Bigfoot Friday, and I want to thank you for being here. Now, Saturday night, tomorrow night, it's going to be Coast to Coast I'll be on, and I hope that you'll join me. The very first hour, I'm going to have Jared Rice Sr., who's been here on Blue Rock Talk before. He is the founder of the first decentralized bank on the blockchain, and that's called Arise Bank. So please join me if you're wanting to ask him questions. We might be able to get to that. I don't know. I'm going to have him on for the first hour, so we probably won't be able to get there. But we'll probably have him here on Blue Rock Talk again. When it comes to after Jared, it's going to be William Lawrence, and he's going to talk about bent light. And what bent light does, at least what he has created, because he's a photographer, is he has taken the beams from sunlight, projected it through water and a bottle onto a flat steel area, steel, S-T-E-E-L, and he has kind of taken pictures of what has refracted through that. And it looks like, to him, extraterrestrial and also ghost. And you know what? It'll probably look that way to you too, because the pictures are phenomenal, and I think you'll enjoy it. So that's tomorrow night, and we will have Q&A, but I think those of you that are Bigfooters that go out into the woods and you take those pictures, and where somebody like me wouldn't see anything, you can point out about 5 different things. It kind of is that same kind of look, but actually even more distinctive. So I think you guys are going to really enjoy that. So be sure to watch that and learn a little bit more about him. I've got a promo running. Check that out, and you'll see the links of where you can find him. I think I got him on there. Oops, maybe not, but I will. Okay? You can get it on Coast to Coast for sure. So I hope that you'll join me. So tonight, let's go ahead and start Bigfoot Friday. And who we're going to have tonight is Lyn Buchanan. We tried to get him on last night. Here we are getting him on tonight. Lyn Buchanan, Psychic Spy. Let's bring him on and welcome him to Blue Rock Talk. I'm hoping everything's going to be fine here, and we will see as soon as he comes on. Hey there, Lyn. Welcome to Blue Rock Talk with Connie Willis on a Bigfoot Friday. Yay!
Thank you.
You got to do. You can do it too.
You betcha.
Lyn is in the middle of nowhere, is where he lives, and but very close to White Sands, and so that's why he's got a little sandy picture going on, right?
Yeah.
It's
the radiation from the atomic bomb here. Messes everything up.
Well, do me a favor.
But we don't need nightlights,
Exactly right. Yeah, speaking of, I remember when I found this neat little necklace, you had a box of things, and there was little rocks in it and things like that. And of course, all of us people that know you, we're all into rocks. We're all into rocks, which is kind of, there's something to that, right? But there was a little box of rocks that you had at your house, and you had said, go ahead and take whatever you want out there, just a couple things, go for it, and there were things you found that you thought were special. And I found something really cool in it. And it was like glowing sand of some sort, and it was in this little bitty bottle around like a necklace. And I said, oh, cool, I'm taking this, because you said I could take anything I wanted in there, so I pulled out a couple, and I went, this is awesome. And then I made the stupid move to ask you, Lyn, tell me about this, because then you kept it. You said, no, I'm not giving that away. Do you remember what that was?
No, yeah, I do, but, if you had made a necklace out of it, you might have burns.
Really? There was a necklace. It was wrapped around a necklace thing, and it was in a little glass thing, and it was glowing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're not going to talk anymore?
No.
All right. We'll talk later. Okay.
You can hear me, right?
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Well, can you tell everybody a little bit about yourself while you're here?
I was a controlled remote viewer and the trainer of the new people coming in the controlled remote viewing unit in the military. And we did what the Washington Post calls psychic spying, and we've never lived that down. It's a type of martial art, actually, but we would be able to sit in a room at Fort Meade, Maryland, and view and report on any place in the world from without electronic means, without any other means, just our mind. And it is a martial art, but when it was reported on by the Washington Post, they called it Army uses psychic spies, and we have never lived that down. We've never considered ourselves psychics. Yeah.
I know, and you guys, first of all, I want to tell you, anybody that's here, this is a live show. It is live. It's 1:08 a.m. Eastern Time. It is live. I have people saying there that they think it's not live, but no, it's live, baby. We hung in there. We have been, Lyn and I have been trying since 9 freaking p.m. Eastern Time. All right, so don't go away. So we'll go back to the story that Lyn was talking about, and as a student of his with controlled remote viewing, and now a friend for a long time. He's never liked being called psychic spy, and I remember him saying whenever he did anything media, everybody called him psychic spies, and you didn't like it, and I understand why. You don't want to be known as psychics, but when it comes...
Well, the word psychic is, in our society, pretty much a 4-letter word, and...
yes, in the remote viewing world, yes. In the remote
viewing world. But most of remote viewing that you find on the internet is just the same psychic methodologies that are now called remote viewing, because the remote viewing that was done in the military was created basically in the laboratory, is a scientific method that uses basically the same things as martial arts. And so we have sort of, I'm sure that somewhere within our subconscious mind there is that psychic activity that's going on. But the process that we developed was to get stuff from the subconscious mind to the conscious mind, and that part and that process is not psychic. It's a martial art. If that made any sense. And so the method that was developed takes the information that is unavailable to your conscious mind, that's in your subconscious, which does tend to be psychic, and it gets it clearly and unambiguously up to the conscious mind. And the process that we developed is not the psychic part, it's that communication part, so that you can get from information from the subconscious to the conscious mind. And we found that it can not only tell you what's written on a document halfway around the world, it can also tell you why you don't do those things you want to do, but you wind up not doing them, and why you do those things you don't want to do, but you wind up doing them anyway. And your subconscious mind has the ability to not only view things around the world, but also you task it to view something else in some other country, it'll do it. You task it to view your own inner self, it'll do that too. Where are your car keys? Hey, it points them out, And so the CRV process, called controlled remote viewing, is actually that process that communicates your conscious and your subconscious mind in very great detail. And That's basically an explanation of what we did in the military. Did that answer the question?
Yes, I was looking at people's questions over here and glad that they're sticking around. I wanted to tell them, yay, it's live, because some people thought it wasn't live. So I want to make sure they know it's live. And you can swear on the Bible, right? Take the oath, it is live, right? Take the blue rocker oath, it is live.
How far can you separate those?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So tonight, everybody, every time Lyn goes anywhere. Oh, by the way, I wanted to say that the reason we do use Psychic Spy, though, because now I'm doing it and I cringe. I feel bad because I know Lyn's not going to like it. But the reason I do it is because you can say it quicker, you can write it quicker, and people get it quicker. As soon as you put it into a headline, people get it. And that's why. I know you hate it. Yeah, it is kind of cool, though, man. That's a cool name.
Well, the CRB does. Yeah, the CRB does pull on the psychic ability of your subconscious. And so, in that case, it is psychic. And, yeah, we were spies.
Exactly. There you go. And
actually, we weren't spies. Bad guys have spies. We were intelligence collectors.
Ooh. Let me touch you. Fist bump me. Fist bump me. It's and you guys, because we've been friends, and maybe you've never met Lyn except on maybe hearing him on some show or something, and probably someone who maybe they met him only maybe never in person. But this is the real Lyn Buchanan. He's got an incredible personality. He's very funny, lighthearted, caring, loving, and extremely intelligent, and does some really cool things. He blows your mind with stuff, and in between, like. A lot of people that have met him in person, they've taken classes with him. And there's a whole nother side of Lyn besides being a teacher. And I'm one of those kids that I wouldn't even raise my hand. I just ask Lyn something else. And it's very hard to take a class with Lyn it's very hard for Lyn to continue teaching to the students because somebody like me would ask him 50,000 questions, because when he would say something really cool, I would be like,
yeah,
what?
It raises questions.
It raised more questions. And you all always bugged me about that, didn't you?
Yeah, but I really like that because it gets more information out to everybody when you do that. Yeah.
Yeah, but we stopped learning it. We started hearing your really cool stories, and we heard so many of them. So actually tonight, what I'd like to do, everybody, is instead of hearing the old CRE stuff, first of all, we got to ask you about your Bigfoot story, because it's a Bigfoot Friday. But then I want to ask you about the sessions you've had along the way that are just really, really cool, that it just intrigued all of us and fascinated all of us when we sat in class and just looked at you like this.
Okay.
We just went, keep going, Lyn. Keep going. Tell us another cool story. And by the way, Blue Rockers, it was all about, cool, like ETs and you got to tell the esoteric stuff. But you were even in a beam, a really cool beam, and I'll let you get to that. But go ahead, since it's Bigfoot Friday, tell everyone, and then we're going to do some Q&A from everybody, okay? So we'll get some questions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you're still hanging on, right? We've been together since 9.
Yeah.
9, okay.
Yeah. See, it's only 11:15 here.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And to me, I'm like, but I'm on coast tomorrow night, so it helps me, stay awake. See if Linda will bring you in your tea if you can. But
she's already gone. She gave up.
She did. That's his wife, and she's a wonderful lady. But while go ahead on Bigfoot Friday and tell us the Bigfoot Friday or the Bigfoot story that you have, if you have one.
Well, Connie asked me if I had a Bigfoot story or experience, and I said no, because I didn't realize I had. And she said, "Yes, you did."
You're going to bring up that one? You're going to bring up that one? Well, what about
you? That's the only one I have.
Well, you said there was something in the woods.
Oh, yeah. There was one time
you got to
I was visiting my mother, and there was something big, two-legged, and very big walking through the woods, but I didn't see anything. I looked as hard as I could, but I didn't see anything. And so really I have no story about that. However, I think in order to tell this one, I need to give people information. I found that most people don't know what State Department area books are. And the thing is, when they send a statesman over to, I don't know, Bugalogistan, the statesman rarely ever knows anything about the culture or anything, and he's very liable to go over there and commit some faux pas that's going to really make him and the United States look bad. So the State Department has a thing called area books, and the area book about a certain country tells the political situation, the history of the country, their social habits, their political habits, their religion, and their daily life, what side of the road you drive on, stuff like this, so that you don't start a war by just saying something like a president might. But
what? What?
Never mind.
Technical difficulties. Difficulties.
Yeah. But anyway, at one point there was a customer that we had that was very interested in things that were going on at the time, and he contacted me to write area books about other planets. And I told him, well, we won't get feedback, but he said, okay, we want an area book so that if the astronauts go to another planet, they don't start an interplanetary war by doing something stupid. So
hold on a second. Now, just for people to catch up on this, because this is really cool. Some dude comes to Lyn and says, I need you to do basically a brochure of another solar system kind of thing. That's incredible. And Lyn's like, okay, no problem. And he says, we won't get feedback, but I guess the bigger thing and the point I want to make real quick before you say that is the feed you're going to do it. You have this incredible accuracy rate. What is your accuracy rate of remote viewing?
My accuracy rate is around 88%.
88%. Okay, so 88% correct, average,
yep.
All right, of what he does when he gets feedback. But now he's not going to get feedback, but because it's an esoteric target, he doesn't know, maybe one day we'll get feedback on that solar system, but
yes.
So we're looking at it at 88%. But this is what's cool is you're going to do it. This is cool. The guy's got money to do it. You're going to do it, and this is what happens next. That's awesome.
And we do have a way to tell our accuracy rate, and that is if I've done thousands of targets where there have been feedback.
Right.
And we take every single perception, compare it to the feedback, find out what we're good at, what we're not good at. Nobody's good at everything. And so we find, somebody who's good at colors. And they may have a 70% average overall, but they're 95% good and accurate anytime they're describing colors. Now, that same viewer may describe a shape. They're 20% accurate. And as a result, we don't use them for determining the shape of a getaway car. We'll use them for getting the color of the getaway car. Somebody else has an accuracy on shapes, so we'll get them to draw the color. Anyway.
He's always a teacher, everybody. He's always a teacher.
Oh, yeah.
So you're...
My 88% means that I'm 98% good at some things, and at other things I really suck.
Well, what were you best at and still best at? I remember influence, but I don't know.
Yeah.
You're good at getting into people.
That was my forte, was actually getting into their minds and reading what's there. That was my biggest forte. But of course, in other things like colors, I think I'm around 60% accurate. Shapes, I'm around, I think, if I'm remembering rightly, around 71% accurate. But by databasing every one of these, comparing them to feedback, as I'll show you in one of these area books, we can get down to the 100th% of accuracy. And in fact, I'll tell you right now, this first session we did on here, viewer A, I'm not giving the actual viewer name, viewer A has a proven dependability rating of 77.78% in identifying the correct number or quantity of objects, was given task number 1. And on all of these, we choose the viewers according to their strengths. And so they have a track record over hundreds of sessions where we've proven their strength and weakness, and that way, when we have an esoteric target where there's no feedback, we can still depend on them to be that accurate. And we know this. So that has allowed us to give an accuracy rating on a viewer and let that viewer
Dude, did you just kill a bug or what? What was that?
A spider was just a baby spider was. I'm sorry.
Did you kill it?
Yes.
No.
I don't do spiders anyway.
All right.
But anyway, he first of all had the connections to do something about this, or else we wouldn't have done it.
Right.
He also had the money to pay all the viewers that we had. We have some very expert viewers, and
how much?
He had found that.
How much?
What
do you think?
Generally, we paid them. At the time, we paid them $150 per session, and like on these area books, it wound up like I think 50 sessions per viewer.
Oh wow!
You know?
Okay, wow. Okay.
And so we did a very complete, in-depth thing.
Yes.
But he had found out that there was HD 70642 solar star system. They had discovered planets around it. They had discovered that by watching it wobble through space as the planets go around it. The planet pulls it off orbit slightly, and they were able to tell size, planet, and all that by the gravitational pull on the star. And so he wanted information about this planetary system. So he wanted an area book. This is a summary report, not the full report. We were asked to identify how many planets would be found around this star and provide a brief description of each. Once the viewers had reported that there were some objects and people there, and I will qualify the word people, there were sentient beings there. Okay.
Sentient. What's sentient mean? Means
they're not stupid animals.
Okay.
Okay. They're thinking animals. Then he came back and said, okay, access and describe the most representative or the most knowledgeable member of these, quote, people, and learn everything you can about their science, objects, location, culture, motives, religion, social culture, everything else. So we were doing an area book. And so the viewers were tasked to do this. Task 1, describe the number of locations involved. Now let me tell you, the viewers get a number. we don't tell them anything about what the task is or the question. So we will say, this is project number such and such. Your task with question number 1, what's the answer? That's all we tell them, period. And the viewer A identified 6 planets and stated that 3 were habitable. However, 2 of those, one of them was actively habitable. One of them was habitable but had no living beings on it, and another one was habitable fairly and had industry on it that had put people there to live to take care of the industry, but there were no other people native to that planet.
When you say people, would they be like human? When you actually say people?
The ones on the outer planet that were put there to do the industry were described as Nordic-looking. The ones that were on the inhabited planet were humanoid in their appearance, but they were just covered just in hair, long shaggy hair, and very big, long arms. Basically wore no clothes or anything like that. I had not connected it to Bigfoot until you said that. In fact, I had forgotten about this project. I've done so many projects that, I forget. Anyway, another viewer identified 3 planets. Now, this other viewer is not good at numbers, but is good at picking up life signs. And so the one identified 6 planets, saying that 3 were habitable. The other one said there were 3 planets. And that one also said 1 was totally uninhabited, even though it was habitable. The other was inhabited, and there was another one that was just, there was industry, but there seemed to be nobody, nobody actually living there. The second task was provided a brief description of each planet, and the viewers did. The third task was access and describe the most representative or knowledgeable member of the group of people and learn what you can about them. And that's where the viewers described these semi-ape-like but smarter people, okay? The people were, I'm just going to summarize here, the people were not smart, okay? They were barely above the IQ of an ape. However, they had homes, they had tools, and all that. And in retasking, we will, once we find out one subject, we will then create, the customer will create more questions, ask them, and we'll go back. They still don't know what they're viewing, okay? What we found was that there was a race from evidently outside of that solar system that would come in and take care of these ape-like creatures and would train and educate the ape-like creature, teach them how to use tools, teach them how to make their own tools. And what they were doing was they had these ape-like creatures going out and digging up ores, basically. And then this race from outside the solar system would come in, take that ore, and take care of the people there, would bring them food, would bring them housing, show them how to build houses and, educate them and all that, and see to their every need. And those ape-like creatures would dig up this ore and deliver it to these people from off-planet. The people from off-planet would take it out to the farthest planet where there was industry that would take this ore, refine it, and produce some kind of a metallic substance out of it that then the people from outside the solar system would take and use for whatever purposes they used it for. And so here was this solar system that had this one planet that had these ape-like creatures, not highly intelligent, but trainable. And those creatures would dig up the ore. These other creatures would come in, who were highly civilized, by the way, and pick up the ore, take it out to the outside planet, get it refined, and then take it home.
What did they look like?
The highly intelligent ones?
Yeah.
They were described by the viewers who is very, very accurate on describing living beings. And we've trained him with animals, plants. A plant is living too.
Yeah.
And he never knows what he's getting because he never knows what we're going to throw at him, so he didn't know. But he described them as about 5 foot tall, very pale, grayish white skin, and sort of large heads, and heads larger than their body size would say.
Sounds like a gray. Is it a gray? I mean, does it kind of sound like a gray?
I don't know. It sounds like it. We describe, we don't identify.
Right, I know, right.
Yeah.
But it's esoteric, right? Go for it.
Yeah. But then later, this one that was representative of these apes had noticed the viewer being there. And now, one of the things about controlled remote viewing is if you do it correctly, you can't get caught. That's one of the reasons the U.S. adopted this, because if you're spying on some other country and they have a guard dog walking around and that guard dog suddenly alerts, they take that seriously and they believe in psychic spying, and so the next day they'll say, okay, well, let's change to plan B. Well, with controlled remote viewing, you can't get caught, so they never change to plan B, so the information you get stays good.
Right.
And so anyway, this being noticed that person there. So then we looked in the database.
Wow,
and said,
that's freaky.
It is, yeah. We said, who is best at communicating with living beings? And my number came up in the database, and so I took it there. And so anyway, the neat thing that I thought was I could communicate with this being very clearly, and I got information about their culture. They had no religion. Their work was their religion. And that's, their work for these things that came from the sky, that was basically taking the place of any religion. Their society, they had families. They were, what is it, where you have one wife for the rest of your life.
The way it should be.
Yes, the way it should be.
That's right. That's what it is.
Yeah. And so, anyway, they were advancing from dumb animals to trained, educated beings, sort of like they say the Anunnaki did with us, And so anyway, I had told the guy, next time these people come in to collect the ore, I would like to meet them. And he said, okay. Well, in CRV, you can move through time very easily. So after getting his permission to meet him, I gave the command, move to the proper time to meet them, and mentally moved to that time. And what I saw was small, very pale, gray skin, dressed in suits that looked like they were satin or silk or something like that, very shiny fabric. But the thing that got me was these highly advanced beings couldn't see me and couldn't detect me. And so when I would talk to the ape-like creature, he would talk to me, and they would look around like, who's he talking to?
This big one over here is a nut. He's talking to to thin air. They really thought he was a loser.
The more primitive one could detect me.
That's something.
The more advanced one could, yeah. But anyway, these are the things we did. I picked out three of these manuals that we presented. We presented a lot of them, but the others, there's information in them that I don't know that I would have permission to give out. And so I selected these three. I can read things from these, what the different viewers said and so forth. Okay. For instance, one of the viewers looked up in the sky and he said, the sun looks wrong. See, he didn't know he was on another solar system. He said, the sun looks wrong. The sun looks like it's about 3 times further away. Well, after that, we did get some feedback because the star HD 70642, we found out from, see if I can read this. There's a scientific group that is looking for stars with planets around it, and I'm sure it's in here. Anyway, the planet is 3.3 astronomical units. An astronomical unit is the distance from the sun to the earth, or from the earth to the sun, and he said it looks like it's about 3 times further away, and the solar research has it, I don't know if you can see this, has it at 3.3 times further away than the earth is from the sun. And so that was confirmation that this viewer was accurate, was giving accurate information. So if that solar system were laid over ours, this planet would be somewhere between the orbits of Mars and Jupiter, which is 3.3 times away. This orbit is 3.3 times away, and the viewer had said, the sun looks like it's 3 times further away, And so we do get some feedback every now and then on esoteric targets. We got information from the Australian Astronomical Telescope in New South Wales, Australia, and from different universities that are looking for stars with planets. And so a lot of the information we found about this planetary system from the viewers is already proven accurate by astronomers and astrophysicists. We did a thing on the outer planet, let me see if I can Is that working for you?
Let's
Anyway,
see. Hold it steady a little bit there and a little closer, and let's see if it focuses. It's already tough. A terrible shot of you already tonight, but we didn't want to mess with anything, everybody. We just wanted to get the show on. But you know what? That's pretty good. That's not bad. That's not bad.
And this drawing is a depiction of what the viewers found as far as the shape, the building, and everything else. And I don't know if you could see what it looked like. It has a building and then what looks like three distillation or fracking unit, four of them out there.
Put it all the way up there and then just hold steady for a minute, let it focus on it, and raise it up a little more. Well, I don't know, to me it looks like a bunch of cows in the field on the snow.
No, it's not. It's four things sticking up, and the area was flat and desert-like, with distant mountains packed with snow, and that's basically what we put as a picture on the front of the thing. First, cultural contact. We have 12 instances of cultural contact where we define their culture, their habits, their language structure, their, no-nos, what the astronauts should not do when they get there, and their yeses, that's what the astronauts should do when they get there. And this customer wanted this information and wanted it fairly quickly. So that was where I have learned to not ask questions as to why do you need it quickly, but whether there were astronauts headed out that way at the time, I don't know. Anyway, since you had mentioned that this, reminded you of Bigfoot, I have wondered since if the Bigfoot that we experience on Earth might be one of these beings that was brought here to look for ores or something and either left there or comes. I don't know.
Well, here's my answer to that from what I've experienced myself and what I've talked to other people about. But experiencing it myself, I would say, well, here's the differences. When I very first saw what you were reading there, Lyn had it. I was there at one of his classes, and he had a bookshelf behind him in the room that we were in. It was sitting behind you, I guess, when you sat on that side of the table. And he said we could look through different things. And when I found that, it was this neat little pamphlet, and I just went through it, and I went, oh my gosh. And I'm reading that, he's seeing this big hairy thing that mined on a planet and lived a simple life. And there was these higher intelligent beings that were telling it what to do. I was amazed. I couldn't believe it. I went, holy cow. And then reading the description, I went, holy, that's a Bigfoot. That sounds like a Bigfoot. Now at the time, Lyn, I wasn't into the Bigfoot, so I didn't know much. I just didn't know anything about him at that point. I hadn't gone out and ventured, but that's what it sounded like to me. And I remember seeing the project later and thinking, "No, holy cow, that's a Bigfoot." However, the difference is, you describe those people as very, very simple. Now I can see the Bigfoot as being simple here. They're very simple. It's when you see anything, it's all made out of wood or this or that. It's a very simple life. You're not seeing intricate stuff. However, what you find out about the Bigfoot when you're around them at all, they're highly intelligent. Highly, highly, highly advanced and intelligent.
Oh, are they? Okay.
Yeah, so what you described is something different. So I don't know if it was, I was going to ask you, what year were you on this planet looking in this entire solar system? What year was it? Maybe that could make a difference, or maybe they are a derivative, or maybe it's just another big old hairy creature. Though there would be some people that might think they might be dumb. But I don't know. I don't think I've ever heard anyone at all ever mention Bigfoot that's, even when they think they're blood and guts, flesh, and they don't, do anything spiritual, even they believe they're highly highly intelligent. So that's the difference.
I think this. I know when it was cued to us was, I think, 1998.
Right.
And I think we spent a year doing a massive number of area books on this one planet.
But do you know what year you went to that planet? Because in remote viewing, you guys, you can go back to,
we can go back
year
and forth
one.
in time.
Yeah.
But you default to present time unless there's a cue to go to another time.
Okay.
So I would say right then.
But I got to tell you, I think there's something to that where I do kind of have an thought maybe that they are here, maybe mining. Some of me think sometimes they're protecting the grays behind them mining, and they keep us out of the woods, and why they mine, I kind of.
Well, there are some certain things that I've connected since you told me that this was like Bigfoot.
Bring it on.
And that is that maybe they're not Bigfoot. Maybe Bigfoot is them, like I say, brought here to do mining or something.
Yeah.
And the outer planet, where they had the refinery, the viewer described the refined product as being metallic and having a white crust on it, on the part that was exposed to air. The only time I've seen a white rind like that on a metallic structure is with sodium. And sodium chloride is salt. And we know that the ETs that come here seem to be very interested in our ocean's waters. Maybe they're mining salt or the sodium out of the salty water. This is pure conjecture. Haven't done any studies on it. No remote viewing. This was just thoughts that I've had since yesterday when you told me about this.
Oh, well, how do you know that they like salt?
I don't.
You did say we know.
Listen carefully.
Did you say we know they like the waters?
I'm an intelligent. They like the waters.
Okay, you said you know that.
The sea.
Why? How do you know that? How do you know that they like the waters?
From observations and reports that we have the
USOs
things. USOs. That's what I was trying to think of. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not into UFOs or USOs or anything, but I hear it on programs and I hear it from students who come by who are interested in it. If I'm going to spend an hour of time on crazy stuff, I'm going to see that my crazy stuff helps bring home a missing kid for the police.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I'm not going to spend it on UFOs, So anyway, if that metallic product that the refinery does do is sodium, then ergo, logically, maybe that's why they seem to like our ocean's waters.
That's interesting, yeah. Coming for the salt.
Could be.
Coming for the salt.
Or coming from the sodium that is in salt.
Okay. I was always thinking it was gold, but, there you go. Maybe something else is more important to them.
I've heard from people that the Anunnaki or something like that, came here and educated humans and brought them up to culture and taught them how to teach grease tools, and that they were in South Africa digging up gold. And so I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not. That's just what I hear from people who are into that kind of stuff.
Well, before you...
I'm into bringing home kids.
You are. You are. He does a lot of remote viewing so that he can bring home missing children and... that's
police work and all that, yeah.
Yeah. And you do that pro bono for people.
Yes. Through the police. I don't do it for families. I don't do it for individuals. I do it for police and other agencies that are looking for missing people, missing evidence, things like that. And, for the police, sometimes they're not looking for the missing person. They're looking for a witness who witnessed the person go missing.
Oh, that's interesting.
And so, since it's for the police, you can't assume. And besides that, when we ask the viewers, they don't know whether it's a police case or a practice target or anything.
Right.
We say, the target is number such and such. Describe it.
Right. Absolutely. Well, we appreciate that you do that help, and we appreciate when you do fun, esoteric ones for us, too.
I do too. I love them.
I know you love this stuff. It's fun. We always have fun talking to Lyn about these kinds of things. So I want to ask you some questions, and give the answers if you can. If you can't, just say you can't, which I know you will anyway.
Yeah.
And then we'll take some questions because people have some questions here.
Okay.
And one of the questions I want to ask this, you told us this story in one of your classes, and I've never forgotten it. And I would love for you to tell it again. If you can, maybe you just told us. I know that you do that from time to time. So,
if I told you, then it's tellable. I don't tell anybody things that are still classified. Yeah.
Okay. Well, this is true.
Okay, so you got a fat, gray-headed old soldier telling war stories. Go ahead, ask.
Okay. Well, this was pretty cool of a story. So, now you would help fix computers, I guess, or things, and okay. I just want to set it up where you went down to some area, and usually when you go to you went in some elevator and you went down a certain amount of. I don't know if you kept going and kept going and kept going, but when the doors opened up, at front desk, there's a lady, and the lady tells you what you need to do, and she also checks your top secret clearances and things like that, and then approves you, and then tells you where to go and fix whatever the problem was. Well, you had went to something, and she a lot of times you said that they would tell you what to expect, and and where to look and where not to look. And
they rarely ever told me what to expect.
Okay. Well, maybe I remember something about. I think you kind of blew her off, like, no, this is cool. This is what I think. And then I think she said, no, I got to tell you about this. And I think she basically said, keep your head straight. Don't look to the left or the right or something. Or maybe you don't want to look to the left or the right. And I think you did look to the left or the right. And it was a hallway, and there was glass. Okay, I'll tell the story. How's that? Let me tell the story.
I think this has changed in your mind.
Let me tell you the story I remember, and the other people remember, because some of us have talked about it before. So the story that we remember, because I can get a couple people to vouch for me, you went down an elevator, and basically you would help fix problems, computers, different things like that, and you were asked to go fix something. This was in the military when you were, as an Army guy,
computer expert, yeah.
Okay, computer expert. So you were going down you got into an elevator just going to do whatever you were asked to do that day. And when you got out of the elevators, there's a lady at the front desk, and she kind of tells you where you need to go, what you're going to do, what to expect is what I remember hearing. And where this was a little different, it wasn't the same old normal thing. And I remember.
It was never a normal thing, yeah.
Well, okay. You know what I'm talking about? Do you know what I'm talking about yet?
No, I still don't. Since I had the highest security clearance, these black projects would have computer problems, but they didn't have any computer repairmen who had the clearance to be there. So they would send me to these places.
So
and there were lots of them. Yeah. Okay.
Well, whatever the conversation is with the lady, I remember you saying something like, well, you were kind of like this kind of humdrum, same thing. Okay, I get it, whatever, just get me to the problem, let's go. But she was like, no, you need to know a little bit more here. And whatever she told you, you never told us. But you said you went down a long hallway, and you said the long hallway to wherever you needed to go. was all glass on both sides, and you did look to the left and to the right, and you said it looked like offices and cubicles, and you saw what looked like people in there working, just like they were offices and cubicles. However, some of those things didn't look like people.
Oh, yeah, I remember that place.
Thank you. Okay,
no,
you tell it.
that wasn't glass on both sides. You've embellished. That wasn't glass on both sides. It was just rows of equipment that had people there at these positions.
Okay.
Doing things.
Okay.
And,
none of us cared about that part. We cared about what you saw.
What I saw was that along those positions there were non-humans, clearly non-humans. And now I will put a caveat on that, okay? Many times all the times these people at positions get so bored they can't take it. And so if they know somebody's coming in, they might put on a chicken mask or something like that, to look like a chicken. And so they do that in the military. Now, whether they did that in this place or not, I saw clearly, in this case, insectoid looking, that were much taller and all that. By that time, I knew. I looked away and kept on and doing my job.
What was it?
There were these rows of equipment with people sitting at these different positions, and I happened to look down the rows, and these appeared to be, how's that for chicken and out? These appeared to be clearly non-human. Yeah.
Yeah. And that, however you got there, that's what we remembered. You were saying that they were insectoid? Insectoid?
Insectoid, I guess you would say, yeah.
And I remember, too, that you said, and tell me if I remember this correctly, but I think you said something about one of them had a pencil in his hand.
I doubt it. He was
sitting
in an electronic position.
Ah, okay. Maybe it was another person, but I remember like they were
could
sitting
be
at a desk.
person, yeah.
Yeah, because I've heard many stories like this. So maybe that was it. But we got that part. You saw some insectoid
I learned very
people.
quickly in these black units. I would go in and I would tell them, look, I'm here to fix your computer or install software that is special to your unit. I don't want to know anything that I don't want to know. And
that was it. That's what you had said.
They often told me way too much, and I didn't want to know anything that I would be responsible for knowing. And because you can disappear when you know too much. Well,
This is true. Well, let me ask you this before we get to questions. Did you see, that's pretty wacky what you just said. That's like, wow. It's actually cool. All right. To me, it's really cool.
Yeah.
Two questions, I guess. When you first saw that, did you just freak out, or did you already have a knowing, or did your body say does not compute, or what happened to you?
My whole mind said, Black Ops, keep walking.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Was that a praying mantis or a beetle, or what the freak was that thing? I don't know, but.
and at that point, I didn't care. I just wanted to do the job and go home.
And ever since, you've killed little spiders that would fall from the ground or from the ceiling down.
Yeah.
Okay, and I guess the second thing is, before we take the questions, do you have any other little tiny, unique little story that you think is pretty, that blew your mind, that Blue Rockers would also go, wow, that's pretty cool?
You were mentioning the beam a while ago.
Yeah, that was cool.
The Russians were developing a particle beam weapon, and someone, I won't go any further than someone wanted to know what was going on inside the beam. They weren't considering the machine that made it or anything. They wanted to know what was going on inside the beam. Well, with a particle beam weapon, you can't put an instrument in there because the minute the beam turns on, it vaporizes and it's gone. And so somebody came up with a brilliant idea of putting a remote viewer inside the beam and describing it. And
I love it.
And so I volunteered for it. And there is a there is a stage of controlled remote viewing that's called perfect site integration, which just happens to be PSI, or by location, where you are so focused in on the target, you cannot tell you're not there. You see everything exactly as you would see it if you were there. You can walk around. You can't walk through walls, things like that, because it's almost like you're real. And your mind will keep you from walking through walls like out-of-body. I've never had an out-of-body experience, so I don't know. But anyway, I got to that stage and was standing there outside the beam, and I stepped into the beam, and I had the presence of mind to get the information, the specific information they had asked for. But the experience itself, I have never in my life seen anything so indescribably beautiful. And by indescribably, I mean, I have tried to describe, and I just can't. There aren't words for it. There aren't words for that kind of beauty. And the thing I found is that beam not only, tears up physical things, but it actually affects time inside the beam. And I could look up and down the beam and see future and past and all this of myself. I saw myself as old, I saw myself as baby, and so on. And it was as though my life had stretched out in that beam. And but the beam itself, what I was experiencing, was just fantastically beautiful. Now, years before that, as a practice target, they had me put into the beam of the linear accelerator at Stanford Research. And on that time, they didn't tell me, they gave me a number, said, here's the target, go view it. And at that time, I found myself in a square, very long hallway that was very dark, and there were all these instruments and everything, and there was this sand. I was being pelted by sand. And so anyway, I deflected the sand over to the walls, and when I did, I heard an alarm go off down at the end of the hallway, of the end of this corridor, and everything shut down. And when it shut down, I just ended my session and came back. But I asked our director to see if at that moment the linear accelerator had a malfunction. That would be feedback. And he said, hell no, I'm not asking. He said, I'm not telling them that we messed up their linear accelerator. So, Ingo Swan had already messed up their magnetometer. You know that story, don't you?
You can tell it. Please do.
They had a magnetometer that was like 90 feet down in solid cement down in the earth. And it was there to measure magnetic flux in the earth. And they told Ingo, if you can really do remote influencing, remote influence that thing.
Oh no!
And all of a sudden,
challenge.
Yeah, and he did. I mean, it had readings it had never had before, and just all over the place. And when he quit, it went back to normal.
Good for Ingo.
And yeah, but they, a remote viewer had already messed up their magnetometer. He said, "No, I'm not going to tell them we messed up their linear accelerator." So I never got real feedback on that, but it happened,
Well, you know what, just going back, and then we're going to go to questions. Just going back, when you talked about the beam and time, I'm just curious if, and hear me out, when you were in the beam and you saw time as a child and older of yourself, do you think it's possible that you were actually dying and you were living what people see when they see the light and come back? Do you think that could have happened while you were in the beam?
I don't know. It could have been. Anything's possible. What I was there to get, this is a particle beam weapon. What they wanted to know was the activities of the particles inside the beam.
Wow.
And I was there to collect that information, and I still had the presence of mind and all of that beauty to do my job while I was there. And I came back with the information. Never got feedback from our customer as to whether they appreciated the information or whether it meant anything to them or not, because in most of the tasks that we did in the military unit, we were not, we did not have the security clearance to know whether the information we got, to even read our own reports that we wrote, we weren't cleared for it. We weren't cleared for what we gave them. And so a lot of times they wouldn't give feedback.
Well, I'm going to, sorry here, hold on here. Okay, I want to get some questions for you, okay? So I was looking at questions here. All right. So everybody out there, Blue Rockers, if you got a question, put it in caps. I see that there's quite a few in here, so I'm kind of I think I'm going to go kind of backwards just so I can keep up with it. Or maybe not. I'll go the other way. But Lyn, keep them as brief as you can just so I can get through them all, and because
I'll try.
We can all be here all night. I mean, definitely answer them, but and I love to be here all night. That's the problem. Both of us love this stuff. So so let me see what I can find for you, and thank everybody that's here. By the way, if you are here, thank you for coming. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. If you are a subscriber, thank you very much. And here or not as a subscriber or not, please hit the like button if you're liking what's going on. I would appreciate that. It helps me out. Thank you for any of the comments later, and thank you for being in the live chat now. So all the links will be below. If they're not already, they will be tomorrow. And thank you guys all for being here. Tomorrow I'll be on Coast to Coast. Don't forget about that. My guest will be Jared Rice of Arise Bank in the crypto world. And also William Lawrence will be on of Bent Light. And I think he's actually here with us tonight in the live chat. And I think he's got a question for you. So very interesting guy. You guys are going to love him. And I think Lyn, you got to check out his stuff too. So let me go find you some little questions here. Let's see.
By the way, you said sunlight hits the bottle. Isn't it starlight that hits the bottle?
Ooh. Well, the sun's a star.
Well, that's true. Okay.
Right?
I thought you had said earlier that it was starlight instead of sunlight.
Same thing.
I don't know. Yeah, same thing.
Yeah.
Just different sun. Yeah.
Let's see. Okay, all right, everybody. Connie, action. Okay. What do you look like? Okay. Their message. Okay, they're talking about your little stories. So let me get past the little stories. Go ahead, everybody, and just kind of ask your questions now because I'm going backwards, and I think I better not do that. Okay. So re-ask your questions again, and make sure they're in caps. So I'm going to get you the first caps. Okay, one of them, Alan Drake out there. He's a blue rocker, total blue rocker. Doesn't like crypto
Good.
at all. Doesn't need any money. He's fine. He loves all this stuff, but he's a great guy, and true blue, faithful as all. He says he wants to know what your views are in spiritual life.
I definitely believe in a spiritual life. I believe we have spirits, I believe we have souls. Now, when people tell me about spirit guides and all that, I'm not sure. However, we had a person in our unit who absolutely depended on spirit guides. And what we found by databasing was that her spirit guides were no more accurate than we were. And maybe she had spirit guides from another realm, but we were strictly, boots on the ground type, intelligent experts, finding out information about people, plans and intentions of foreign leaders and all, and we found that they were no more accurate than we were. So,
that's interesting. I think too.
When the accuracy rates comes, yeah.
I think as well he may be asking, I'm not sure, but what is your thoughts on God?
I believe there's a God, yeah. And, I am Christian, but I know that there is a difference between Christianity and churchianity, and I'm very acutely aware of that difference. Church doctrine is not always Christianity. Go ahead.
Well, no, I was just going to say, too, if you haven't received his book, he does have a great book, The Seventh Sense. That's the one I remember. I know you got a couple other ones.
Oh, I thought you were talking about God's book. Yeah, I have a copy of that.
That's true. But if you haven't got that, I will put a link in below. I don't know if I got it down there now or not, but he tells a story of Lyn had gotten a target. He was tired of getting all these terrible, terrible targets, because he would go inside people's minds, right, and come back and have to detox and things like that. However, I guess at one point, the guys that gave you the targets, heard your little cry of, man, give me something, good, happy.
Oh, yeah.
And then go ahead and tell them what happened at that point.
Okay, they had me do foreign leaders' plans and intentions and personality assessments. A personality assessment is where you remote view to the point where you can sort of stand there in front of the person, watch their activities, and get their personality and describe that. Plans and intentions is where you get into their mind to get their actual plans and intentions for government decisions, for the next day of battle, for any scientific research they're doing, anything for collecting information. Anyway, they gave me this personality assessment target. And I had been doing all these bad guys, and I finally went in and I said, look, give me Bozo the Clown, give me Mother Teresa, do something. These people are wearing me, all these bad people are wearing me down. So anyway, about a week, the director said, you're an Army soldier, damn it, get out of here and do your job. That was it. And so anyway, about a week later, I got a personality assessment. And it started off, and I said, look, whatever bad things you think this guy did, you got the wrong guy. This is not one of the bad guys. And they said, my monitor said, well, go ahead and do the session. And I did, and I had never met anybody like this before. And at the end of the session, my entire summary was, whatever evil you think this guy did, he didn't do it. That was it. And the monitor then opened the envelope to see who the target was, and our director had written Jesus on a piece of paper. And in that session, the content of that session changed my life. It really did. Having met that little Jewish guy. That's how I described him, that little Jewish guy. Basically what he gave me was that whatever evil I've done, he's seen worse. Whatever good I've done, he's seen a lot better. And that I was pretty average overall, but that he accepted me anyway, and he would be a friend. And that acceptance, just, for whatever I've done, good or bad, actually changed my life. I think that was the day I went from Christianity to Christian.
That's really nice. Wow.
And it made a difference, yeah.
Yeah, and, even if people want to say, no, he doesn't know what he's talking about, blah, 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 he's just making that up. I mean, you yourself know. It doesn't matter what they think. You yourself are the one that experienced it and then saw the target at the end and went, holy cow, there was a name to what just happened to you. And it matched, where you went, this is it. So,
and, they can say, no, it's not true. They weren't there.
That's right. You were. You were.
I was.
It's funny, the little Jewish guy, is that what you said? The little Jewish guy?
Yeah.
That's hilarious. If I remember too, you had an experience of touching him and he touching you, or?
No.
You didn't have your
touching.
arm around or anything? No? Okay.
No.
Was there
However,
a feeling?
When General Stubblebine took me to the unit, here I am, a sergeant. General Stubblebine put his arm around me and said, I just love this guy. He's going to be good for you, put me into the unit. And they said I just turned beet red from blushing and all this, because here is this big burly guy, big burly general. By the way, The Men Who Stare at Goats, that movie?
Yes.
When General Stubblebine, when Lyn in the movie is standing in front of General Hapgood in the movie, and General Hapgood says, did you kill my computers with your mind? And Lyn says, yes, sir, I did. The grin that comes across the actor's face there in that movie is exactly the grin that came across General Stubblebine's face when he said, far effing out, have I ever got a job for you?
Excellent.
It was the exact same. They got it perfect. Yeah.
And he's talking about himself in that movie. That was him.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That was you. I'm just telling the Blue Rockers out there.
Yeah, that was me. And I didn't kill the goat. That was another sergeant that killed the goat. But I killed the computers.
Yeah, and I think that, Lyn and I believe it could be one of the reasons why we couldn't get him on. Anyway, so we'll get back to the questions for you.
Okay.
Because we had quite a few. So Zarlo has asked, were you ever asked to view Bigfoot or giants by the CIA or other ABC government agencies?
No, and I'm always very careful to say we were never officially tasked to view ETs, and we were never tasked to view Bigfoot or anything like that, but we were never officially asked to view ETs or UFOs or anything like that. We had a guy in the unit called Ed Dames, and he was always giving us practice targets of all these ET sites, and of course there's no feedback, so you can't learn if there's no feedback. And when I say we were never officially tasked to view ETs, we had senators and congressmen and generals and all that come by and ask us to do personal sessions along that line. But by the military or by the government, we were never officially tasked with those.
So what happened when the senators and the other ones asked you? What happened? What'd you find out?
If a four-star general asked you to view something,
you do it.
You do it.
Yes. But what'd you find out? What'd you find out?
That's way too long to talk about. Go ahead with the questions.
Way too long. Are you kidding? People will give up their questions for that answer. But I know,
that's okay.
I know how you are. I know how. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
he's actually just saying, no, Connie, I'm not telling you. Right? Okay. Right.
Right.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. Darn it. Hey, I tried. Right. You got. You can't blame me for trying.
Gotta try.
Got to give it your all. Okay, Bent Light, that's who I'm going to interview tomorrow on Coast to Coast. Ask a question. I hope you're still there. I know this is one of the other questions way up there. William Lawrence asked, is Buchanan, you, familiar with the CIA investigation of the Grandmaster Zhang Boshang and his abilities, I think I said that right, and his abilities to transfer objects inside sealed containers, and does Lyn know more about Zhang than what's public?
I have never heard that name before.
Oh.
I have never known about any investigation like that. However, I do know that the Chinese, and that doesn't sound like a Chinese name to me, but I do know that the Chinese had programs where they were doing telekinetic experiments with young children. And the children, when the children got to like 12 years old, they were out the door. They weren't interested in them anymore. They were taking young children and seeing if they could bring things out of closed bottles through the glass, make objects move and all that. And in fact, the men who stare at goats, people say, why did we kill the goat? Okay. It was because, what was her name? Anyway, the Russians had an expert at telekinetics, and they had her killing rabbits and mice with her mind, staring at them and all that. And the end result that the Russians had planned was to be able to teach this to their troops, so the troops could stand over on this side of the battlefield. There's the enemy out there. Just stop their hearts and kill them all without firing a shot. And that was the fact that Nina Kalagina was doing that and was able to do it on command, had our intel people very worried, and so they were wanting to see if we could do it too. And that's when this sergeant was tasked, kill the goat, stare at the goat and kill it. And he figured out the way to do it. I know how to do it, but I would never do that. I couldn't do that.
No.
And so anyway,
but you can kill a spider that's hanging from the ceiling.
You betcha. Yeah. That's a spider.
Little spider.
Yeah. A little spider, maybe. Yeah. But no.
So you know how to do it, though. You would know how to do it.
I know how to do it, but I could never do it because I could never bring myself to do it.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
If somebody were coming in to kill my family or something like that, that might be a different thing. But no.
Is that?
I'm glad they didn't task me with it, because I was the one doing remote influencing research.
Yeah.
And but that is not remote influencing. That's remote control.
Oh, and that's awful. It's still murder, you know. It's still killing. Did the time of killing the goat, is that? And you said you know how to do it. Is that something that we can all remote view? Is that something we can do? We could all have that ability to even take out a life with our own mind. Do we actually have that ability?
I think it's inherent. I think it's inherent in most people. There is a phenomenon that happens that I won't go into, that happens to a lot of people, that shows that they do have the ability to do that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But this Zhang or whatever it was, I've never heard of anything like that. Yeah.
So, as in, like when there's a bad accident or something, and somebody's trapped under a car, and somebody can go over and actually lift up the car to pull the person out, where those unique things kind of happen from time to time. Is that
Yeah,
what
they
you're kind of
happen from
relating
time
to?
to time. Yeah, that's not the thing, but I won't go into that.
Oh,
So,
okay, all right, gotcha,
because
gotcha.
I don't want people practicing it.
I know it. I know, and I know that's what you're thinking. Exactly. I get you. But
And,
it's just amazing what powers we actually have,
oh yeah,
and the powers that we do have that are that strong. And you admit, yes, we have them. Why are they gone? Why don't we use
they're not
them?
gone.
Well,
They're
why?
not gone.
Why do we not know readily
Generally,
that they're there?
generally, generally, we're culturally, you know, you get a baby in the crib, okay? The baby can pick up on the mother's emotions, the father's emotions, and all that. When the father and mother fight, how does the baby protect itself? It nulls that ability out. And then as you get older, you say, oh, I think something's going to happen. And it happens. And what do your parents say? Oh, it was an accident. It was just a coincidence, you know. And it's trained out of us.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
very trained out of us, you know.
So, Killed by Bigfoot is his name. Mr. Buchanan, I am very clairvoyant and would like my gifts to be put to use. Any suggestions or advice?
Yes. Get training in how to use them. And I always suggest CRV training. There are now 7 qualified controlled remote viewing trainers. Most of the information you learn about remote viewing out on the internet, I wouldn't spend money on it, okay? A lot of it does work. A lot of it is good, but it's not developed the way controlled remote viewing is. You see their work, and they have one page with, you know, one word is right, and they've got a little scribbly sketch, and they say, look, I'm a remote viewer. Whereas you take a CRVer, in fact, this happened not too long ago. The International Remote Viewers Association had a psychic spying contest, and so they asked me to develop a target. Well, Joe McMoneagle had received a picture of the roof of a building, and he told what was going on inside the building, every room. He drew pictures of things, and told that there was a submarine in there, drew pictures of the submarine, and told when it would be taken out and put into the ocean. And they said, no, that's not true. And he said, okay, divert a spy in the sky satellite on this certain day at this certain hour, and you will see that I'm right. They did that, and for about 15 years, that was the only photograph we ever had of the Russians' boomer submarine. And so
Oh,
this psychic spying contest, I took a picture of a roof, and one of my students won the $1,000 prize because he was able to draw the entire floor plans of the building and describe how many people were in each room, what they were doing,
wow.
what equipment they were using, and all of that, just from the picture of a roof.
Well, there you
And
go.
so, you know, the other remote viewings you find, they can't hold a candle to that.
No,
But
no.
we have developed this in the laboratory and in the trenches to where you can do that.
Yeah, yeah. Can you name the people that you would suggest to go learn remote viewing from? Controlled remote viewing.
In Canada, there's Lauren Cott and Colleen Marinich. I think you know Colleen. Now, Colleen is full up in her classes right now. Lauren is not teaching right now. She's taking a sabbatical. In Ireland, there is Paul O'Connor, who lives in Dublin and who is teaching and has openings for his class. In New Mexico, there's Lori Williams.
Yay, Lori!
Yeah, and she's actually teaching online now.
Yes.
I am developing a totally in-depth online class. I have basically 10 courses, and each course is going to take somewhere around 100 to 150 videos. It's going to be that in-depth.
Wow.
And it's to be used for online training. I don't have it finished yet, but I will.
What number video are you on right now?
I'm on about 70
okay,
for the
good.
basic course. So I have about 30 more
Wow.
for the basic course. In Ohio, there is Teresa Frisch. I think you know Teresa.
Yeah.
And she is going back to school now to get her registered licensed nurse.
Nurse. I thought she already had that. Okay.
She is a nurse.
Nurse
but
practitioner. Nurse
practitioner,
yeah.
something like that. Yeah. So she's back in school now, in college.
Excellent.
And she should be finished by the end of this year. But so she's not teaching right now either. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And Paul Smith.
Yes,
Paul Smith was a viewer in the unit, and was also a teacher for the part-time for the basics. Or he's a very good teacher.
Yeah.
All of these teachers teach the standardized controlled remote viewing. And so what happens is, let's say you go to one for the basic course and you want to go to the intermediate, but they don't have one scheduled. Since we're all teaching a standardized methodology, you can go to one or the others. The other one will pick up right where that first one left off. And, it's a standardized methodology. Anyway, question?
I love it. Yeah, absolutely. No,
okay.
And of course, Lori Williams, I've been auditing some of her classes again, which is great that you guys allow that. Once you paid for them, you audited them. But she is doing what we call the Blue Rock Talk Bafflers, where we baffle people's mind. I give her an esoteric target, and she does that for us. And she doesn't know what it is, and she talks about it, and then at the end we tell her what it is. She actually did it. She opened it and launched it on Coast. And the first, I gave her 3 targets for that night. The first one was Bigfoot, and she got some amazing things. The second one was the pineal gland. That was interesting. Oh my gosh, that was unreal. That was crazy. And then what was under Mount Shasta? What was under Mount Shasta? So that was pretty freaky too.
Yeah.
But speaking of, someone, Steve Picky, wants to know what's going on down in the Antarctic.
They're discovering. I don't know this from remote viewing. I just know it from watching the different shows and from different people who are involved. They're discovering, they think, an ancient civilization that some of them think may still be going and still inhabited way down under the ice. But they seem to have found pyramids down there. And there was a lot of interest in this by Adolf Hitler and the Nazis, and there seems to be a lot of interest in it now by several governments. And I think there's a rush to find out what's under the ice. There are places down there where the water's not frozen, and there are lakes down there that the water's not frozen.
No.
Yeah. Anyway,
I thought everything was frozen. Okay.
And that's all I know. That's really all I know about it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And you can give your opinions and thoughts. That's okay. But so let me ask this quick one: yes or no?
Okay.
Globe or flat Earth?
Get on a plane in San Francisco right at sunset. I've done this. And you arrive in Japan right at sunset, and the sun stays right there on the horizon the entire way. That's when you realize the world really is round.
Hey.
And your plane is standing still and the earth is going under it.
The flat earthers have an answer to that, I'm telling you. They're quick with their
I'm
stuff.
sure they do.
They're quick. Okay, so let's see here. Okay. Does Lyn think, this is from Lisa Compton, does Lyn think by what he saw in what you were describing earlier, the creatures that you saw, did you think that the Bigfoot could possibly be interdimensional?
I don't think so. And I have heard all kinds of theories about ETs being interdimensional and all that. And if you cut them, they bleed.
And she's talking about what you saw in that target session earlier that you were talking about on the other planet.
Oh, on the other planet?
Yeah.
No, no. We were tasked to go to star system HD 70642, and we did.
And so you didn't get any impression that they were interdimensional, and you also think also think that in today's world you don't think that they're interdimensional.
I know that there may be a possibility of other dimensions. I'm busy with this one. I don't care about any others, as long as this one has missing kids and all. I don't care about those others if there are others. But I do know, and this kind of upsets some of the scientists have said this too. Space-time is real, okay? And space and time are totally interlinked with each other. Since space is three-dimensional, time is too. And we have done I won't explain this either. We've done experiments in remote viewing, sideways in time, up in time, down in time, back in time, forward in time, and have had experiences of moving different directions in time. And time is three-dimensional. I don't want to explain that any further, okay? Because you have to experience it. Yeah, and time loops is a whole other thing too, and time. Oh yeah, have you tried any of the time loops I gave you? Maybe. It's really mind-boggling, baby. Do you practice? Practice.
That's Lyn's thing. Practice. It's funny. You sent somebody an email, and he's in one of the control remote viewing groups, or all of them actually. But you would send somebody actually you were doing the mentoring group for Lori, and you sent back an email that said something basically like, everybody have a good day, practice, practice, in parentheses, you put practice all the way through. Mr. Subliminal Man over there.
There's subliminals in there.
Little NLP action going on. That was hilarious. I was like, there's Lyn. Practice. I tell you, Lyn probably falls asleep and goes, practice. I tell you. Okay, so let's see here.
Describe, don't identify. You're right.
So, John Z. Grabbit's laughing about the little Jewish guy. And Alan Drake says, yes, Jesus was real and I have felt his love. And I thought I remembered you saying that you felt Jesus' love too during that session.
Yes, absolutely.
Can you describe that?
As well as love, I felt his acceptance of me. And, raised Baptist, you dance, you're going to hell and all that, And raised in the Baptist church where almost every sermon, it was like mentally they would back their hearse up to the door and load souls into it, But no, there was this acceptance and love, yeah. Yes, it was palpable. It was so strong. Yeah.
I think that's incredible. That's really neat. Okay, so
it was life changing.
Yeah, yeah. And you were also, were you a minister at one point before that happened or after that happened? Because you were a minister at one point, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What?
I was a student minister. It helped me get through college. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So how were you in college? Were you a little drinker as well, or no? You were a little good guy.
No,
what kind of guy were you? No.
I was just
little Lyn.
trying to get through.
Little Southern gentleman. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So Bent Light.
No, I don't drink because I can't get alcohol. Doesn't affect me, and so there's no reason to drink. I'd rather have lemonade anyway.
Yeah.
Anytime.
Yeah, that's right. We'd all go to those places in between the class, and you'd get lemonade.
You betcha.
That's right. So Bent Light has come back with, this is what he has written down. It says, approved for release in 2000, I guess, what is that, October, what is that, so August 11th, I guess it's the way it's read, in 2000. CIA research into paranormal ability to break through spatial barriers, 1983 by Song Kangzi and Zhu Liangzong. Subject with paranormal abilities, Zhang Busheng. And I can't tell you if I said any of those correctly, but does any of that ring a bell to you?
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
However, now that the remote viewing is declassified, there are like 92,000 documents on paranormal ability, its uses in the military, its uses in the government, the capabilities that have been shown by people, and so forth. I was very surprised that all of that will be declassified, but you can get it through the Freedom of Information Act. I'm just waiting for them to declassify all the stuff they put me on the study of the ET's psychic ability.
One of the really neat things that you did that might answer somebody else's question on here, and by the way, what you just said, do you believe that things are still going on now and are even beyond what our thoughts can imagine in the abilities of paranormal or psychic?
They always have, yeah. Why stop now?
Yeah, well, I agree, but I know, they always say, no, that stuff's not happening. It's like, come on, it's got to be, like, unbelievable now.
Well, let me be accurate about this.
Please.
When you retire,
yes,
they quit telling you things.
Man, that's weak. Don't ever retire.
And so...
did they ever ask you to come back and do anything, Did they ask you to ever come back and view? Because you are so well known for getting into people's minds.
Yes, and I have done things. I have done things with customers. Yes. One radio announcer was trying one time to trap me into saying,
not me.
and all that. I know. And I said, okay, if I'm a mechanic and a congressman brings his car in while he goes to work and I fix his car, did I just work for the government?
Ooh, interesting.
No, I worked for a senator. Okay. And so when I say I have worked these things, the information I provided for individuals, I don't know the end use for it. I don't want to know the end use for it. However, that's a qualified yes or no.
You can always tell when Lyn doesn't want to tell you something.
That is a definite maybe.
Right. And sometimes if you guys think he's being a little weird, that's all. He's just trying to, how do I not say this? How do I tell you how I don't say this kind of thing? That's interesting. Okay, so I do wonder what it is that is so beyond now, because back then when you guys were doing this during the Cold War, Project Stargate, I mean, who was thinking that was happening, you know? And now it's out, everybody talks about it, there's a lot of things we don't know about it, but what is happening now?
When General Stubblebine took me to the unit, I was over in Germany, and I killed the computers, and he wanted to take me to D.C. and start a unit that would kill enemy computers, with the end result of controlling the data in those computers so that if they fired a missile at us, we could make it turn around and go back at them.
That's awesome.
Or drop it in the sea.
Love that.
And Congress has been caught too many times doing mind control experiments on U.S. citizens. And that's been pretty frequent. And so when he suggested building a unit like that, they said, no, that's mind control. We're not going to do it. There I was in D.C., no assignment, no military assignment, and so he took me out to the remote viewing unit, put me in. When they read me on, reading on is where every military unit has to tell what they do. When they read you on, it tells what they really honestly do and threaten you with $10,000 fine and 10 years in jail if you repeat it. Oh. And so anyway, they read me on, and I thought it was on candid camera or something. I thought, this is a joke. This is a joke. Surely they're punking me here.
Where's the cameras?
Because the military doesn't do this. Well,
wow.
And then I watched them, and they were doing it, and.
Well, they don't need to. All they need, from what we've learned, is to take a hammer and just, beat up computers and phones or whatever, and you're fine, right? And that's what I've learned you can do, right?
Listen, I have always said, if you want to kill the enemy,
yes,
take all of your secrets and put them in a plane and spread them over the enemy. It will bore them to death.
I don't know. I think
most of the classified stuff is just absolute boredom,
I get that. But I think what you did was fascinating, and I'm sure there's some other unbelievably fascinating things. Okay, so let's see here. Okay, I know there's a whole bunch more up at the top, but I guess let's end on one of the last ones that I can bring up, just in case I didn't hear or didn't see one of your messages, everybody, just because I don't know where it is, and I don't want to be rude looking this way kind of thing, and you need to wrap it up with Lyn here. So I think one of the other cool things that you did, if you could explain this to people, and then we'll let you go, is you had remote viewed what people thought was hell, what people thought was heaven, and that kind of stuff. Can you tell that story? That was really pretty interesting.
Yeah, they found out that I would shy away from viewing death in any form. And so they started giving me people, targeting them at the moment of their death. And I had to go through their death with them and out the other side and report what was going on. What I found out was that the Baptists are right. You go to heaven or hell. The nihilists are right. Some people just quit existing. No existence after death. And the reincarnationists are right, because some people do reincarnate. And all of these, I think there were 64 of these practice targets that I had to do. I would describe the person, describe their condition and all that, and then they would say, okay, move 5 minutes forward in time and describe. That would put me after their death. I would experience them dying, how they died, whether it was a car wreck or cancer or something else.
Wow.
And then I would go another 5 minutes forward.
And you
and
didn't
describe
observe
them.
it. You didn't observe it. You felt it. You got inside and felt it, right? You weren't observing.
Yes.
Okay.
On this, yeah, because that's my forte.
Right.
And so 5 minutes, 5 minutes after death, I was describing where these people were, what they were doing, and some of them reincarnated, not always as humans, but some of them reincarnated. Some of them went to what I would call heaven. Some of them just quit existing, and some of them went to what I would call hell, and I would be within 100th of a second, I would be kicked out of that session, and I would have nightmares for a month afterwards. And I don't know what hell is, but I don't want to go there. I learned from that. I don't want to go there. Okay. And curiously, I never found anyone who turned into a ghost. Now, if they had done more and more of these sessions, I might have found one. But in those 64 sessions, there was no one who ever turned into a ghost. So that was the only one I didn't experience. Yeah. And
when you say the 64 sessions that you did, where are they?
Oh, all of that stuff. The Freedom of Information Act has put out, I think it's something like 92 or 96,000 documents. That's not all there were. And our computer disk, I ran the computer there and kept the database and all. Our computer disks are, if you've ever seen, the end of this Indiana Jones movie where there's that long warehouse where they put things that are never to be seen again.
Yeah.
It's somewhere in there.
So we'll never see that. We'll never see that.
Oh, no, you'll never see that.
Man, that would be so interesting, though. Oh, my gosh. Yeah. Why hide that one?
And many of the, they effectively declassified the project. See, controlled remote viewing was never classified in any way. What was classified was the customers we did it for and the fact that the military was doing it. And so when they effectively declassified the remote viewing unit and told about controlled remote viewing, that's where people found out about the scientific development of this method. And if all of a sudden every psychic in the world they were a remote viewer now. Yeah. And we had palm remote viewers and crystal ball remote viewers and, pendulum remote viewers and all that. Yeah, a lot of those documents, a lot of those sessions, and especially the names of the customers we worked for. Yeah. Nobody's ever going to know that. Yeah.
Well, just to go back to what you were talking about, if you can do your best, when you said you didn't even want to ever have any intention going to hell or even, what was that? What did you see? What did you see and feel or smell or?
There was a darkness, and it was filled with some of the worst horror I have ever had. I have never been that scared on anything in my life. And just, anyway, something that would knock me out of session completely.
Well,
couldn't go on.
When we've seen scary movies or, even, has anybody ever nailed it? What you saw? Has any of it, like you had said, when we die, some of us reincarnate, some of us go here, some of us go to hell, some of us go to heaven. So a lot of these religions are right about what they say. What about what has been depicted as hell in Hollywood or whatever? Has it ever I mean, were they right from what you saw? No one's ever touched it?
Absolutely not. No, nothing in my life, at least, has ever even become touched in it. I might say something else. I know you're wanting to end this, but after the military, I was asked to do a report comparing human psychic ability with ET psychic ability.
Ooh.
And the fact is, everybody says, what do they want? Well, there's not us and them. There's us and them and them and them and them and them, and they all want something different.
Right.
And so I got access to the stuff that was so true and proven that they would not put it into the Blue Book, Project Grudge, and the proven things. And I was to glean from that whether they had psychic ability or not, the actual abduction cases, the actual crashed saucers and all that. And there have been a lot of them. But anyway, I found that I could take all of the ETs, psychic ability-wise, and put them into 4 groups.
Yes.
4 groups of psychic ability. Now, within each group, there are grays, there are insectoids, there are all kinds of things in each of these 4 groups. One of the groups, well, you split them in half, psychic and non-psychic. Then in each of those categories, you cut them in half, friendly or non-friendly. The non-psychic friendly ones just come here for trade. The non-psychic, non-friendly ones don't come here except by accident. They don't like us. They stay away. The friendly psychic ones have abilities, have psychic abilities, and they want to help. Generally, they want to help us get better at our psychic abilities, and that's a drive they have. The psychic non-friendly ones just want us dead. They want the planet completely wiped off. I couldn't understand the motivation for those last 2. And finally, there was one incident that I read the report of that I think explained it. There was this group of campers camping out by a lake, and they were in an opening in the woods, and they saw this UFO. The UFO came to them, got over them, and abducted them. And that's when I realized that the psychic ability of those aliens is much stronger than our psychic ability. But they have no range. They had to be right over them in order to do anything. And
they have no range. I love it.
They don't have range, yeah. And with our remote viewing, we can see across the universe and through time, just like we can see across a room. And if we develop that ability, we will be a powerful force in the universe when we get out into space.
Yeah.
And that's why the psychic ones that are our friends want us to develop that ability. That's why the ones that are our enemies, that hate us, just want to kill us.
How is...
So, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
And so that was the report I turned in. And it, of course, disappeared into the system and may never be seen again. I don't know.
Well,
but that was the report I turned in.
Nice to hear about it. So how do you suggest that we, just as individuals that are watching and enjoying the show here and enjoying you, how do we ourselves get better? Get better. And by getting trained, you're saying remote viewing.
Remote viewing. And we found out many, many, many things in the development of CRV about the human mind that even psychiatrists and psychologists and all that aren't up on yet, and what the human mind can do. And basically what it takes is learning how to do it right, and then practice, practice, practice. You see on the internet, people say, "Oh, I don't practice because I'm already good." Try to find a black belt karate person or something who says, "Oh, I don't practice because I'm good already." You've got to keep practicing.
You do.
And,
you do.
And, the ideogram drills, you know what this means. Your listeners may not.
Yes.
It's the first practice you learn in controlled remote viewing. Here I am, 35 years of remote viewing.
You're still doing,
I
you still
do it's the basic fundamental, because it trains your body to take subconscious thought and convert it into conscious thought.
Yeah.
And the first day they put me on ideograms, 35 years later, I still do the basic. I don't want to lose the fundamental.
Yeah, it's like a basketball coach saying, "Go over there and just dribble," or "Go in there and do free shots."
Yeah.
Well, just the other day in Lori Williams's mentor class, or it was in the basic class I was auditing, for the first time ever, I looked at the
Were you
video.
there?
I wasn't the one that you showed up.
Oh,
Sorry,
okay. She's done another one since. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
and she just did a basic class, so
Yeah.
But she, it was the first time ever I did an ideogram, and I looked at it, and I was dissecting, land, water, what it was, but I had remembered, and Lori has this neat little ideogram thing on her website that anybody can look at. It's free, and it shows you the basic ideogram that she uses, and then it goes a little beyond, and she talks about how, well, here in ideograms, it's what you use to determine, I don't want to say anything why the master is here and mess it up, but
the gestalts,
they're gestalt. They don't know what gestalts are either, man. Don't you come on, gestalt,
I always
ideogram.
explain gestalts as the enos of something, like this. I don't know what the target is, but it has wateriness, and I don't know what the target is, but it has spaciness,
That's right.
or man-madiness, or landiness,
Well, she was talking about how, like, if you have a gestalt, a little symbol for life, or for water, or for land, she was saying if it's turned this way, it means one thing. If it's turned this way, it could mean another. And maybe the bio one, if it's turned this way, there might be mental illness or something. And I thought that was cool.
It's very holographic.
Yeah.
And if you practice these physical responses to subconscious knowledge, it becomes a language, and your subconscious can speak to you in actual words.
Well, you'll be proud, Master. You'll be proud, Master. Listen to this. I did one, and I was dissecting it, because it was the basic, and it was like, find out how many you had, how many gestalts you had in your ideogram. And I looked at one, and I thought, is that my water, or do I got a natural in there too? And I looked at it, and I said, oh, it's kind of sideways. Could that be? And I thought of what Lori had showed in this thing. And I thought, could that be waterfall? I kid you not. The target was a waterfall. Yeah. And it was awesome. I was like, the first time I did it. And I told her it, and it was funny because I was so excited that it was. So waterfall is a waterfall. And of course, she got on me for structure, right? And, and Buzz killed it all. And I was like, I know she's got to teach. Okay, all right. And I pulled back, But I was like, yeah, it was online, so nobody saw me. But I was like, I got freaking waterfall from my ideogram. And it was a waterfall.
This is one of the hard things for a teacher. Because by the time you get to where you can really teach CRV, you've already had all these experiences, and you've drawn the floor plans of buildings you've never been in that you don't even know where they are. And a viewer comes up with, ooh, I did an ideogram and it's a waterfall, and the teacher has to be impressed.
Yeah, I know.
You
I know.
It
You could care
becomes
less.
a difficult point. Yeah.
But
No, you can't.
it
No,
was a-
you care very much,
you know,
and you want to
I
tell
broke
the viewer,
through.
you think this is good. Just wait. Just practice.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, you always talk about ideograms, and I was always, a stupid ideogram. What the freak is that? You know, kind of thing. But I saw it for the first time.
Ideograms.
Yeah. But now I can see why you think it's cool, because I thought that's cool.
Yes. That's your subconscious telling you something.
And
don't ignore it.
That's right. I didn't, and then I got a buzzkill from Lori, you know. But you know, that's what you call her the structure Nazi, or they call her the structure Nazi, right?
Yeah.
She's the best. She's the best.
You know, when a student does that, I try to emote and be over impressed and all that. But I want to tell them, you know, just practice
just the
and
beginning.
You'll look back on this and think I was such a child. You know?
And when I did it, practice came out of Lyn. Okay, on the last note, you also, during the death series of targets, you also experienced heaven. Please go into detail about how that felt, looked, and everything. Because I know you didn't want to go deep into hell, but you do enjoy going deep into heaven.
Yes, I don't want it to be a pun, but I would be walking on clouds for a month afterwards. That experience, the warmth and the love and the joy that would happen is just beyond adequate expression, and I would actually feel like I would be glowing for a month. And in fact, this is one, I don't know if I've told you this or not. During one of the months after that, I broke my rib, and it hurt, you know, and it had hurt for several days and all that. But I always felt like my hands were kind of glowing, and I was taking a nap one weekend day, and I was lying in bed with my rib hurting very badly. I turned over, and it hurt. And I put my hand on my rib, and it said, "Oh, hell, just heal." And it healed. And I never had another bit of pain. I never had, you know, the grinding sensation in there. And so, I believe in miracles. Yeah, I believe in miracles. You know, I don't know if you've seen my coffee cup that talks about CRV, and it has a slogan on it. It says, miracles aren't as hard to perform as I thought they would be. But man, it takes practice. Perfect for Lyn. And on that note, this is Lyn Buchanan, everybody. Thank you so much, Lyn, for joining us. Is there anything else you want to say before you wrap it up? I just want to thank you for inviting me. And I apologize for all the electronic things. You know, what's the old saying? Never trust an electron. They're always so negative.
He's got a ton of those, everybody. He's got a ton of those.
Oh, yeah.
It'll drive you nuts, and you'll also, you know, it's just another part of Lyn that you love. So, Lyn, I appreciate it. We'll bring you on here more often, as long as you buy me new equipment afterwards, okay? That you zap out. Oh, my gosh. All right. Well, thank you so much, Lyn. I appreciate that. And, you know, tell Linda thank you very much for letting us have you, okay? And share you with everyone. All right. Well, stay. Good. Oh, good. You're going to watch me on Coast to, or listen to me on Coast to Coast tomorrow night?
You betcha. Yeah.
All right. Because Jared Rice is going to be on talking about crypto bank.
Yeah.
And we've had him on here before, but also Bent Light is going to be on. William Lawrence, who was here as well watching you tonight and saying that he absolutely loved meeting you. He just saw you for the first time and loved hearing what you were saying and thought that was really interesting.
Good.
So you'll have to listen to him tomorrow night. I think you're really going to enjoy what he's got too. So hold on there,
good.
Lyn. Okay, don't go away. Don't go away. Stay with me real quick here. I just want to thank all the Blue Rockers that were here and joined us. Thank you so much for hanging out. Even though it was very, very, very late, you hung in there for 2 nights until we got this done, and we did. Yeah. We didn't stop. We did not stop. So thank you guys for sticking around. If you're new, please become a Blue Rocker, subscribe, and those of you that are here, please hit the like button for me, okay? I hope that you enjoyed the show. So Coast to Coast tomorrow night. And any links will be below. If they're not, if they're not down there now, they will be tomorrow after YouTube turns this thing around and puts it up and does all the things that it does. So, again, thank you for being here. Tell all your other friends. Let's keep building up Blue Rock Talk here with Connie Willis. So thank everybody for being here once again. You guys have a safe and happy rest of the night, okay? We'll talk to you later. All righty, take care. And Lyn is still with us, and you guys have a great night. We'll talk to you soon. I really appreciate that you guys are being here and being a part of the show. Thank you very much. Talk to you soon. Bye, everybody. Hold on here. I'll say goodbye to you. Let me get what I need to get for you, and that is this one right here. Good night, everybody.